little fishes as they swim about their home. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home. When the sunlight shines upon them and their colors begin to glow, I am drawn into a world where my heart longs to go. I imagine scenes of beauty and feel the warmth of love. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home. I have traveled the world over, but never found the peace that comes from watching my fishes as they swim about their home. My heart is happy and I am content to sit and watch them swim. I will not be alone while these fishies are in my home. When the sunlight shines upon them and their colors begin to glow, I am drawn into a world where my heart longs to go. I imagine scenes of beauty and feel the warmth of love. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home.
Oh, goodness. I know we're here for great to be here. Sorry to let you know that our dear Dina is sick of bed. She's struggling with the flu. It's been going on now for more than a week. Poor soul. Please pray for her and send her good thoughts. We miss her. We miss her terribly, and we'll certainly miss her here. My goodness. Well, we're just jumping right on it. We have a new friend up, Marcin Celeste. Let's get him
Oh,
up.
greetings from Poland.
Hello from Poland. Well, nice to see you. Good to have you from Poland. What time in the morning is it there?
Uh, it's almost midnight in Poland.
Midnight in Poland. It's 6 o'clock here, so you're 6 hours later. Well, happy to have you in. Say your first name. Is it Marcin?
Marcin, in English is Martin.
Martin. Okay, got it.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I saw your, I saw you on YouTube, and 2 days, 3 days ago, and live. I love your hobby, your passion. I have angelfish.
Oh, wonderful. Can you show us your angelfish? What do you think?
Ah, can you say it?
Yes. Oh, they're monsters.
Yeah.
Wow.
And your country, father fish?
Yes,
What is your country? Where are you from?
I'm from the United States,
United States. Wow, nice. Which state?
Maryland. I was in,
Maryland, in the north.
it's kind of in the center, yes, just below New York, on the,
Wow,
right on the coast. I was in Florida for many years.
Florida, near the
Yeah.
Mexico, the border.
Well, kind of, yeah. In the Gulf,
Ah, Gulf of Mexico. Wow,
yeah,
that's nice.
right. So you're from Poland. Where in Poland?
In the north, do you uh, know Gdańsk?
Yes. You're,
Yes, and this
you're,
is
I'm very happy to have you here. I have tremendous respect for the Polish people and the Polish government. I, I'm, I think we have a lot to learn from Poland.
yes, it's we learn all life, and it's our passion of fishes. And when your passion started about fishes.
Oh, when I was a little, I said to somebody the other day, I think I was baptized in a fish tank when I was a baby.
Oh,
I've had, I've had fish my whole life.
wow, that's nice. My
Yeah.
passion are fishes. I'm thinking about study ecology.
Oh, really? Oh, wonderful.
Yes, it's first grade studies. You can be an engineer of fishes.
Yes,
Well,
right.
in Poland, we've got a lot of lakes and rivers. We
Uh,
have a lot of pikes, perks, zanders.
nice. I think it would be a life you would love.
Yes, yes. And I studied Spanish studies for Spanish and Portuguese,
Ah,
and it helps me to learn more about fishes. For example, in the Gulf of Mexico, uh, there is one fish because um, it names mojarra. I speak in Spanish. Mojarra in Spanish.
I don't know the
It's
fish.
like yes, it's there are many species of fishes. Many
Yeah,
species.
yes. Is Mahala a food fish? It is a fish
Hmm.
that is caught to eat. Oh, I do know what it is. Mahi mahi. We call it mahi mahi.
Ah, in the U.S. In Maryland, there are there are a lot of lakes to fishing.
There are, yes. Maryland has mountain and plain and seashore. It has a lot of different kinds of areas, much like Poland, I'm sure.
Ah, I think yes, you've got right. Wow,
Well, happy to have you here, Martin. Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you, Father Fish.
Yes, we'll come back and visit again.
Yes, God bless you.
God bless you. Very nice. Thank you, Martin. Very kind of you to come up. So, Dina is, as I mentioned, Dina's sick. She won't be able to be with us, but I'm hoping she's able to listen in. She really is quite down to the point where she really can't get up. It's been running through her family now for almost going on 2 weeks, I guess. So she really needs to get some relief from this. My beard is weird tonight. I don't know. It's all straggly. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know. I probably need to put something in it. Or maybe that's what's wrong. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But so if I look a little odd and scraggly, I don't know why that would be. Oh dear. Let's see. Let's go to the chat. Ellen, well, I need to get over in YouTube so I can pass out some wrenches here. Because we got some new folks. There's Debbie Adams. Hi, Debbie. Happy to see you. Let me get you a wrench. And as moderator. Very good. And Lawrence Ellingson, nice to see you. Get you a wrench. The link that's at the top, if you click on it, you can come up. This is essentially open mic. I really shouldn't take calls, but I guess I will. Hold on. Father Fish. Hello. It's from the disposal company. They pick up my trash, and we're gonna be having a storm here, the likes of which we're told we haven't seen in a decade or more. So, and it's supposed to have started. Let's see, I think the camera's on the door. Let me open the door and see if there's snow coming down. Maybe you can see the snow. No snow, not yet. Got no snow yet. Oh dear. Zephyr Hamid. Good morning, Zephyr. Happy to see you. Nice to have you with us. So what I was saying is the link at the top of the chat. You can click on that and come on up. This is essentially open mic at Show and Tell. You're welcome to come up and show off your fish tank, or talk about what's going on, or whatever. Let's see.
I love my little.
Or just chat. Happy to chat. Debbie texted me earlier today. Debbie, I have had a day that I hope not to have to remember. I've been busy beyond my ability to think straight. I've had, I've been the only person here at the store. We've had about 20 people in today. It's been enormously busy. Great fun, but really busy. I've been putting up fires and talking at length with people in the show really the entire day. It's been hours involved in that. Plus phone calls coming in and no help from anyone. And on and on and on. So if I'm a little rattled, please forgive me. I've had a difficult day. Nice to see you all. Big crowd of people in. Just excited to be here. I see Marcin has said, oh, Marcin does not have a wrench. We need to deal with that. Let's see. Zephyr, we got his. AH Aquatics from the UK. Nice to see you, AH Aquatics. Good to have you here. Oh, here he is. Here's Martin. Need to get Martin a wrench. Why do half of my neons hide and half stay out all the time? Weird. I think I know why. And I have noticed the same thing with a number of other kinds of fish. I believe it has to do with sex. Yep. The naughty word, sex. You probably can't say sex on YouTube, can you? Well, I'll say it anyway. With a lot of fish, the females will remain pretty much in hiding while the males will be out and about. The nature of behavior when nesting is for the female to stay close to the nest and the male to be on the perimeter guarding her and the nest. With community fish, that is to say with shoaling fish, it's the same thing. The males will be out shoaling, moving around. The females will be, more of them will be in hiding or kind of in the background. Now, this is not universally true with every fish, but I've noticed it with a lot of fish. So that's my guess, that the ones who are hiding are female. You might be able to tell if your fish are very well fed. The females will be, I told you the fat and skinny story last week. The females will be full of eggs, they'll have big fat bellies. And the males will be much thinner and more active, actually. Michael Burtz has a question. Let me get Michael a wrench before we go forward. Michael says, I'd like to know whether it's best to put discus in with existing rummy nose tetra or put the discus in first and then the tetras. What time for getting use of the tank in each case? Very interesting. I don't know where I would go with that. Probably I would put the rummy nose in first to make sure that fish are going to be okay in the tank, particularly if it's a brand new tank. I would want to know that my less valuable fish, I would want to risk them first, I guess, is what I'm saying. I think it doesn't much matter to the fish, one way or the other. But, probably the rule of thumb for me is I always recommend to people with a brand new tank that they put less expensive, less valuable fish in. It's rarely an issue. It's rarely a problem, but when it is, it's something you want to guard against. So I would want to risk the rummy nose before the discus. I think in terms of the behavior of both and the relationship between them, it probably makes no difference at all. Let's see, Michael Burtz, did I give you a wrench? I did. Let's see what's going on here. What are you loving, Debbie? David, I'm new to the Natural Aquarium setup. And Debbie says, I am too and loving it. Still in the process of learning. Speaking of sex, I lost that. Where's that go? Where's that? There it is. Satisfactory. Wagtail platy fry have arrived in one of my tanks. First spawns in the last couple of years. Wonderful. Congratulations, guys. That's exciting. Yeah, I saw a bunch of baby mollies in one of our vats today. Real excited about that. Let me say something. Let's see. I guess let me go through. I prefer the word breed, says Master Black. As well you may. My tank is X-rated, says Adam. Yes, quite so. Quite so. David's watching a lot of videos. Adams is nonplussed. Was up until 4 watching videos from Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. It's very sweet. Elena Lawrence Ellingson. Hope you can show the tank with discus again. I need some inspiration. I don't know that I can. Let's see, is the light on? It still is. I can get close. Probably not close enough. What is that falling on the floor? Batteries. Let's see. Well, that's as close as I can get. You can see discus right in front, a couple of them. This is a tank with very, very heavy tannins. And it's a tank that I want to do a water change in. I want to make sure I get Corey on that first thing in the morning. We haven't done it in about a month, maybe longer. The tank has a very, very heavy tannin buildup because of the tree coming up through it. It's an old dead tree I got off the beach, a hardwood, but it leaches a lot of tannins. And I think they've gotten just really too heavy in the tank. Although the water is crystal clear, we're going to do a partial water change. I'm glad that came up, and I'm glad you asked me, Debbie, about showing you the discus, because I want to talk about water changes. It seems to be the cause celeb, and I've gained the reputation of being the never water change expert, which I must tell you I am not. I am not. I do water changes, and I do them routinely, but I do not do them frequently. Before I go further, Hagen Hill is here. I want to get Hagen Hill up. Hey, how are you?
Good, Lou. How about yourself?
It's nice to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a little disheveled today. It's Sunday.
Yeah, me too. I am too. I can match you easily.
We'll have a funky hair competition.
Really? Mine is. I let it grow long, and it's very thin, and it's
Same
wispy,
here.
so it gets very weird.
I just kind of wanted to give you an update on our 75-gallon, if I could.
Oh, nice.
If
Yes.
you'd like to see it.
I
Let me
would
see. I'll
love to
switch
see it.
this camera around. If I can, give me 1 second.
You can just turn it if you can't hit the right button.
There,
There
we
we
go.
go. Good job.
Let's see here. If I can get back to where I was, I can still kind of see it. So, I had to take a lot of the sword plants. I had 2 humongous sword plants in here. I ended up taking them out because they were kind of blocking out all of the light. So
Yeah.
it's looking a little barren in here now. But since I've done that, our crypts have done very
Oh,
well.
beautiful. Yeah. I love crits. I think crips are probably one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah,
They're so decorative.
yeah, they are. You know, and I think they scare some people because they're a little bit delicate, at least from what I've seen.
They're
When
real
you first,
slow growers too.
yeah, especially when you first put them in, if you buy them somewhere, they tend to melt back. But if you're patient with them, I've seen them, they come back.
That's an important thing to understand. I remember when I first got involved with crips, I got a bunch of them, got them in, and put them in a new tank. It was a 40-gallon breeder, and within days, all the leaves were gone,
Yeah,
100% gone. They were melted out down to the root. And I didn't do anything about it because I had fish in there I didn't want to mess with, so I just forgot about it. 4 months later, I start seeing shoots, and every one of those plants grew, and they became beautiful.
and
So
that's what's really neat about them. I think is that when they do take off, they do really well, and they like to spread. From
that's
what
right.
I've seen, they kind of will shoot off runners and start new ones.
Yeah, they're a great plant. They're not a plant that's gonna fill the tank.
No,
Not even like Java. I mean, Java, Java could fill the tank. Java fern.
yeah,
You know,
we've gotten tons of babies of Java fern out of here, and I've put them in
yeah,
other tanks. But we have some other holding tanks for plants because we're moving some stuff around. So I'm gonna add some more in here. But those big, um, well, as you can see, there's a couple in this big 210. This
right.
was in that 75,
That's a big mother, isn't it?
and
Love
it was coming right out the top of that 75.
Show
Like I
those
said,
flower stems on that. I think there are people
oh
that don't
yes.
who haven't seen those.
I
That's
think
really
I've got a video out there that actually shows them flowering out of the water, but when
nice.
these come out of the water, they'll have like little white flowers,
Yep.
and new ones will start to eventually new plant forms, kind of almost like like the spider plants do. You know, where they'll
Yeah.
shoot off
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
I
That's
found that to be the same kind of deal with with these sword plants. And so I've made a couple, you know, not made, but propagated a couple new plants
what
from that
species
plant.
is that? Do you know?
What's that?
What species of Amazon of sword is that?
I don't know. Maybe Katie would know if she was in here, but
I think I know. I just can't remember.
well,
It's not Amazon.
when they were new, they there's one in here still, kind of you can see behind the crypt.
Oh yeah,
When they're young, they have more thinner, longer leaves
more pointy. Huh?
for
That
quite a
looks like an
while.
Amazon.
Yeah, and then after they get older, they just kind of start forming more of a long stem. You can see this one's in peril right now. I put them in here, and the goldfish they still munch on them. There's not really much
Yeah,
these fish can't touch. Once they get kind of big like this, but as soon as there starts to be like a dying edge or something, these goldfish will
yeah, that's
tear them
right.
up.
They eat the dead part of the leaves,
Yeah,
which typically will cause the next part of it to die. So,
yeah. There's
but
one. There's one that we put in here. This is one of the babies from that plant. Kind of hard to see. There's a lot of
that's a
guppy
big,
grass and java moss kind of
too.
around it, but
Yeah,
you can see we do have a couple fake plastic plants. You can see one right there that was in there ahead of time. I just use those plastic
oh,
ones to kind of
oh,
wrap up. They work good to hold java moss in place. You just kind of wrap
yeah,
the java
that's
moss around
right,
them.
right. I like the pull. You've got a
Yeah.
lot of house plants there too.
Oh
That's not.
yeah. Sorry about the shakiness there. But yeah, we love our house plants. A lot of spider plants
A
out
lot
here
of
because
spiders and ferns, yeah.
they propagate so well. You can kind of see in this little 10-gallon tank, I plopped one in here, and
Oh,
about a month later, the roots are growing
wow,
all the way down to the bottom.
wow. And that's going to just take off.
Yeah,
Get that. Huh. I
we've had really good luck with spider plants used in the aquariums, especially at the
need to, yeah,
surface.
I need to get some. It's such a neat plant.
Well, we could probably send you a couple. I got a ton of babies. Probably
You do.
wait till it's warmer out though.
All right. Yeah, right. Yeah, we're struggling with that issue right now.
I
We're
woke
needing.
up to 5 below 0 this morning, and it hasn't
Oh,
gone up
where
higher.
are you?
Northern Wisconsin, Spooner,
Oh, my word.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yeah, we're supposed to be getting a bad storm tonight. I think it's slowed down some, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Is that a 40, the empty one?
yeah, yeah. I just cleaned it out.
What
Um,
are you going to do with it?
I'm. I was back and forth. We were supposed to start getting a couple new fish from someone we know in town, and thinking about it now, I mean, they'd be perfect for this tank, but she's kind of pressed for time to get rid of them, and I don't like doing things quickly.
Uh,
So to rearrange some of these fish, like put some of these goldfish back into the pond and do a switcheroo here in the time frame, I might not be able to do it. So
uh,
what's gonna happen is most likely this will probably, well, I'll show you the fish over here in this tank is a mixture of swordtails and tetras and tiger barbs. I kind of would like to take them out of this 29 here and put them into the 40.
you've got some of those green barbs and
Yeah.
some of the new blue barbs. They're such nice fish.
Well, I love them. Yeah. But I've noticed that the swordtail baby making has kind of, well, it's slowed down. There's,
Yeah, there's way too much competition in there.
yeah, but we've got a lot of young ones, so we're good for now. It might have been a good thing to kind of slow that process down a little bit.
Well,
But I would like to move those fish into that 40 because I do have a breeding pair of angelfish down in this tank, and they're so beautiful, but it's near the floor and hard to work on.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I'd like to get them up. This is the same size tank as those tetras, another 29, but I'd like
Okay.
to get them up higher where I can enjoy them and look at them
Yeah,
better.
yeah. That's a good idea.
Easier to
You
get
could
my
put
hands in that tank.
if you put the swords in there, loaded up with plants,
Yeah,
it'll just produce constantly.
that's why I think Katie wanted to use this tank as more for a plant grow out tank and not
Yeah,
so much for fish.
right.
But I had to clean it out. It was um I used to have these windows blocked. It's all nighttime now as you can see, but there was just enough sunlight coming through here and I started getting cyanobacteria issues that was
Huh.
really hard to deal with. So I took the fish out of that tank, put them in the 55 that I showed you over there, and I just I was trying to combat it for a while, and I just ended up taking all the sand out of it and cleaning it out. I cleaned it with peroxide and scrubbed it and rinsed it, so it's pretty much fresh and clean and new. So it's we're still deciding exactly what to do with it. It's cool. I love setting up new tanks,
Oh
and
yeah,
we don't get to do it very often. So it's like
right.
really want
We
to
need to
plan
get
this
you
out.
to do a dirted tank there. You need to do a dirted tank.
I would like to, but that's where it depends. I mean, if we do have a couple fish that, well, they like to dig. You know, the parrot fish that we have, I had to take them out of here because they were digging down deep into it and really kind of bringing some of that dirt into the water column and
Is
causing
that
some
the dirty
issues.
tank? It looks like it is.
Oh yeah, that's the one.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Okay.
the one that we did about, well, it was
Oh,
over a year ago.
that's right. I
Yeah,
remember.
we took your formula from some of the videos we watched where
Yep.
you listed the ingredients, and we went out and bought them and did our two-part video on it, and it's
Right.
still doing good. The sand looks a lot thinner now because of the movement in it. It could
Well,
probably
yeah.
use
Well,
a little
soil.
more sand, but
Yeah, it looks great though.
oh yeah, it's been
Valerie,
doing great.
Valerie has an interesting question. She said, uh, will the bacteria still be in the sand that you saved out of that tank?" And yes, it will. As it's deeper, it will tend to be anaerobic, but that happens
Yeah,
in a tank anyway. So yeah, that
the stuff
sand.
in the bucket.
Uh huh. You can use
Yeah,
it. The thing is, if you're gonna use old sand like that, you need to cap it with new sand, at least
yeah,
an inch of new sand. Otherwise, you're gonna get all of that um, anaerobics in the water column.
yeah.
But it's perfectly effective to use, and it does contain a lot of life, particularly bacteria, which are
Hmm.
beneficial. Yeah. And it's
We've
got a lot
we've
of
got some new
nutrients.
sand too, but it's I don't know. I was kind of worried about using it, Lou, because I did find some, what do they call those flat worms? I keep forgetting the name of them.
Yeah.
Uh, which what are they called? I'm looking at Katie, but she can't remember either. They're those planaria. That's what
Planaria.
I
Right.
found them in that tank too, and I got kind of worried because
Well,
I don't know how lot about them.
unless it had a diamond shaped head, it's
Yeah,
not a problem. If it
no, it
has
was
a
a diamond shaped head. It was a
was it?
planaria.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few of them. So that was another reason why I decided to kind of clean it out. I might end up using the sand to mix in with some soil for some succulent plants, terrestrial plants,
That'll
and they'll
work.
just kind of, they'll feed off. It's nutrient rich as can be, that's for sure.
Oh,
So
you bet. You bet.
kind of use it in with that because, behind here I've got about 6 or 7 more 50-pound bags of sand
Right.
to use. And if we go if we go dirted, then it'd be fine for the plans as far as the small fish.
Yep. Yep.
But if we do get those, if we do get a couple new cichlids that like to burrow down deep, I might end up having to go with just sand or something because at least for us, it didn't work too well with those kind of fish.
Right.
Do you have advice that would help with that, I know I saw one of your videos. You said if you put a lot more hardscape in, they'll tend not to dig as
They-
much.
Yeah.
Or
Well, that's true. But generally, they dig because they're trying to get the hardscape. So by laying a couple of flat rocks in there, it gives them the hardscape they're looking for. That tends to work pretty well. Planting heavily works well too with big plants because that kind of keeps them distracted. I've got a tank. Let me show you this. This is really interesting. This tank has been landscaped by the severance. The substrate was perfectly level when I put them in there. And you can see what they've done to it. However, the soil that was exposed has gone right back down into the substrate. And the pile that they've created has allowed these corkscrews to grow. So I've got a
I don't
cube.
know if I can see it, Father Fish. I don't know if you still have me on full
Oh, no
screen.
way. Let me put a light on, maybe.
Well, I think you got me on full screen still.
Oh dear. My fault.
No problem.
Thank you for
Yeah. I
yeah,
just want to see what you're showing.
let me do this. Let me put thank you for calling me on that.
No
I was
problem.
pretty dumb.
That happens. I
Okay,
do lots of dumb stuff.
here we go. So this is a six it's a 50. It's a 3 foot 50. Taller than a 40. Um it's got big severum in it, and if you can see them, a couple of very big pike cichlids in there.
Mm.
They're about 8 inches long. This was set up as a deep substrate, dirted sand cap tank. These guys began right in this spot, picking up mouths full of sand and taking it over to the far corner and dropping it. And they did that for a couple of months. In the process, they created an area that the plants are thriving in.
Hmm.
The dirt that what's exposed, some of it is detritus, but most of it has gone back down into the sand. There is a pretty malmy area down there, but it's not stirred up. And if I wanted to get in there with a siphon and get it out, that would be a pretty easy thing to do. So it's an example of what happens when you allow them to do what they're going to do in the
Yeah.
dirt and tangle. Let them dig and just kind of live with it and go through it to see where it ends up. They got down to where they wanted to be. They're not digging anymore at all. They haven't moved sand in a month or more. So it's become very stable, unusual to be sure, but
Yeah.
really very stable with a lot
That's
of
neat.
plant growth.
Yeah.
Let me get you back.
Well, I find it all very, very interesting because the, the methods we learn from you, and then the methods we've learned from other people, and just even our own findings and the stuff we experiment with. It's just also very fascinating, and to see
Yeah,
how it all works is great.
it really is.
But this
Um,
has got to be one of our favorite tanks here. I mean, it's always changing. Like I've told people on our streams and other things that when I was younger, I loved the plastic plants because they were pretty colors and they're flashy and bright, and I guess I was appealed to that because you go to a pet store and as a young kid you're like attracted to that sort of thing. But I quickly kind of found out that I'd get kind of bored of the same old thing. Like you'd set it up and it would stay the same. With these planted tanks, though, it's always changing. There's You can plant your plants in there and there's always something new, almost daily sometimes. But weekly for sure, you can see the changes that your plants make. Um, the scape kind of changes within itself too as fish move it around, and it really becomes a more dynamic type of an aquarium. Because I used to think, well, it's kind of boring. They're all green. What's so fun about that? How about some hot pinks and neons in there? But I found that I really found that over time that my tastes have changed to really appreciate the colors of nature and letting the color of the fish kind of be the showy part.
right, right. Oh, I love it. Nice to
Yeah.
see you.
It's
Megan,
good to see you too.
great to
Thanks for
have
letting
you.
us up.
It's been fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now. So Funk is in the house. He's been my hero this week. Some of you know what I'm talking about. You want to come up, Funk? I'd love to have you. Be nice to have you come up. Mama Bear is here. Adam says nature is perfect. Right. Cecil Mayberry, aquariums, animals, and me. Look out for the Funk, he says. Indeed. He's 23, by the way. Did you know that? Funk is 23 years old. I thought that was amazing. He's got a 16-year-old child, which means he had his first child when he was 6. There's a viral man. Oh, glory. Steve Wilkinson. How long can you hold fish after receiving them from the store? Looking to set up my father fish tank. Do not want to make 2 trips. Well, when you get them home, if you're not ready to put them in a tank, put them in a container with an air stone. Use the water that's in the bag. If you have conditioned water, put that in with them. I would not put them directly in new tap water. Have water that's coming out of an old tank, whatever. Put an air stone in there. Do not put food in that. Do not feed them because it will foul the water and that could kill the fish, could cause them to become sick. So they're good in there for as long as they need to be in there. Should not be more than a few days. Once your tank is set up, put the dirt and the sand and the water in day 1, put the plants in day 1, and then put the filter in by day 2. Excuse me. By day 2, you can put some fish in there. Now, you don't want to load it up with fish. Put a few in. Give it a chance to catch up with itself. This is a biological system that needs to develop. I love what a good analogy for this would be. What the idea is, there's just enough chemical activity and biological activity going in there to sustain what's in there right now. Adding a little more means it has to build up a little more. Now, it can do that if you're not putting a huge amount of pressure on. Adding a little bit, let it build to that. A week later, add a little more. Let it build to that. A week later, a little more. Let it build to that. Let the biological system in the tank build up gradually, which it will do, to meet the demands of the new residents in the tank, whether fish or plants. Now, if you put plants in right away, you can put fish in right away because the plants prepare the water. They prepare the tank for the fish. They also need the fish. The fish provide nutrients to the plants that they cannot get otherwise. So you need to have both. In the beginning, a very few fish, but you can add to that in a week or so and keep adding to that. You can have an amazing amount of fish in your aquarium if you build it slowly and gradually. Let the plants really build out and grow out, and then add small numbers of fish on a regular basis until you get it to the place where you don't really want to put any more in there. Oh, well, now we got somebody with us we really, really need to talk to. Mexicali Fish Keeper is here. There he is. Goodness.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Can't complain. Life is great.
Oh, listen, I was so excited watching your stream. Was it Friday night? That
Yeah,
was,
it was something, all right.
oh man, it was a battle royal. I
Yeah,
tell you,
well, yeah, it got to that point, but I really wish we would have been able to have a
I
actual
know.
conversation.
Well, it's an interesting thing, and I'm really glad you came up because I really wanted to talk with you about this. I have spent my entire day today, starting yesterday evening, in a battle royal on my uh, yeah, Father Fish Shoal. Well, we had a group of people in there in
Yes.
a position of leadership who decided they were going to do it their way, and it didn't matter what the administrators or what I wanted.
Oh,
Okay, so we wound up in a struggle, and it became very, very bitter and very angry. But that kind of thing happens all the time. I think part of the issue is that this is this is a hermit hobby. It's a hermit's hobby. You know, it's
what?
a hobby. It really is. It's a hobby we do all by ourselves, and we get very protective of that, and we get very wrothy about it because we know what we do and we know how to do it, and by God, we're going to do it the way we do it. When we
Yeah, I
meet
agree because
members, it's either one of two things. It's either, wow, what a great time I'm having chatting with this new fish keeper, or boy, I really hated that guy. He was so arrogant and so opposed to everything I was doing, and I didn't like anything he did either. It's a funny thing, but
yeah, it is.
I think that's what happens. You know, you it's it's something we just take very personally and very seriously, and we feel passionately about it. The important thing is to learn how to make sure we're getting along with each other in the process.
Well, and that's the thing, though. That's what I wasn't having that conversation in a sense that I was going to be able to convince somebody or they were going to be able to convince me necessarily. I wanted it to be a conversation where the main points behind their philosophy were presented, and then I could either do a rebuttal or somebody else could do a rebuttal, but it would be you don't necessarily have to agree on everything that we do in this hobby because there's 101 ways to do things. But I thought it was important to still be able to have a communication where you can express your ideas and have them heard, and you have an opportunity to say, well, okay, I agree with maybe this, but here's my take on this. And I think that kind of dialogue is healthy and helpful.
Yeah, right.
um, because not all situations are the same. And I was telling some friends yesterday, is not I'm not married to a single idea. If your argument is convincing and I see evidence behind what you're saying, there's nothing to say that I wouldn't try that. And as a matter of fact, all my aquariums are a reflection of that because over the course of the years, as I hear new theories or new ideas surface, I like to try them out for my own personal knowledge to see if what they're saying is true, and if not, where are the downfalls in those
Yeah, see
philosophies?
how it works for you, right? Exactly. The
Hmm.
problem is when we get into pointing the finger at each other and
Yeah,
saying what you're doing is wrong and it's hurting people and hurting fish. That kind of attitude is what breaks down communications and creates
yeah,
conflict.
yeah. Well, me and Funk are really good friends, and we have these conversations, all the
And if
time.
you
And
guys talk every day, just
yes, well, just about every day now. But
you know,
one of the things we're getting, one of the reasons why I guess Funk was getting so frustrated, it was because this person's argument about it was that it was detrimental to the health of the fish. Well, the thing is, if it's so detrimental, why has this style of fish keeping been around for several years. As a matter of fact, when the hobby first started, it wasn't like there was filtration systems that existed.
Yeah, right.
It
Exactly.
wasn't it wasn't until a market became available that they started adding these other different types of filtration systems. So,
Yeah.
and that was the thing where I guess there was a little bit of a frustration, just because those points were not allowed. Oh, there he is. What's up, Funk?
Fun's here.
All right. I don't know how long I can stay because I just ate a big bowl of Spanish corned beef hash and rice, and I got the itis.
The itchy anus.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I was catching a little bit. That ultimately, I would the closed mindedness is what ultimately kind of irritated me the most. I mean, Lou, I'm not. I got one tank that's dirted and it has a filter on it, and I do water changes. And I've talked to you about, and you have never been like, "Oh, you're such a terrible person for having you know what I mean?" And I felt like that's all he knew. That Lou said that for the fish, if you do a
Well,
dirty, like you're so
the
close
worst
minded. I'm
part
like, he's
is
not.
the worst part is that he wouldn't come out and say who it was, but he'd make all the references so that you knew who it was. And it was kind of like, all right,
Yeah,
what are we playing at? If you're gonna come after somebody, at least
Ah,
say who you're talking about.
the game was talk about father fish without ever
yeah,
saying father fish.
yeah. And ultimately, look, Lou, I don't. For those of you out there, I was thinking. I haven't told Mexicali this. On my members only. I was thinking about doing a channel review. Um, kind of like my thoughts on this person, my thoughts on this method, just general for my members. And you were going to be the first one because I'm sure people look at me and look at you and be like, I don't get the connection. I
Yeah.
don't see the connection.
Yeah.
And
We've been
my
even buds for years.
yeah, and my point was, at the end of the day, like, the closed mindedness that he had was what was offending me.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Um,
And I
you
think
know,
that's the issue. He thinks he can he thinks he can build his channel on controversy.
yeah,
Well,
and
but you know what? If that was the case, that's okay. You're free to do whatever you want with your channel.
Right.
But when you get called on that, why do you refute it? Why do you try to pretend that's not the case? Because
Yeah.
yeah,
that to me, then where's your character? It's okay if you want to be a controversial channel. That's perfectly fine. You're totally allowed to do that. Okay,
Absolutely.
so
I've done it. I
so
don't
we
do
could
it
take
so much anymore, but
we could take the opportunity right now to go over some stuff that he had issue with that he was not quite understanding. Like, for
all right.
instance, um,
You're
like we're gonna take his talking points
okay.
and we're gonna go over them. That's what he should have done. That's what he
Let's
should
do
have
it.
done. Is like,
Let's
okay, so first of all, let's go into the whole aspect, which I find a valid question. If I have an aquarium, a closed system aquarium, and all I'm doing is adding water as it evaporates, nitrates, well, you kind of take care of nitrates with all the plants, but all the other stuff that accumulates, um, how is it that you're able to add fish in there when you have this tank that has been just sitting in its own juices for so long? The fish get accustomed to it. So under his rationale, you would never be able to put a new fish in there because it would not be accustomed to this swamp water that you've created. How is that possible? Let me know. Let
okay.
everybody know.
The best way to understand this is to go back to what he said about himself and his hobby. He
Mhm.
started he started doing this 2 years ago. That's what he said. He started
Well,
doing it
he
2 years ago.
he says he's been keeping fish since he was 8.
He said he started doing discus 2 years
Yeah,
ago. He
Oh,
didn't
discus.
claim
Yeah,
to really have any knowledge of fish keeping beyond this commitment he made to learn how to do this. He then said it took him 2 years to get it nailed to the point where he now understands everything there is to know about how to keep discus. My position is when he made the comment that you just made,
Mhm.
I thought back and I realized, yeah, when I was 2 years into fish keeping, I believed that too. And then I learned how to deal with it. He hasn't learned how to deal with it. I mean, it's as far as water changes are concerned, water changes are fundamental in any kind of body of water. Now, there are people who are able to keep some fish in an aquarium with plants for a year, 2 years with no water change. And that's reasonable to do if it's a very limited kind of environment. In other
Yeah,
words, a very few fish. If you got a lot of activity, you're not going to be able to pull that off.
his question basically was is if you have a natural system, and it's been on its own for X amount of years or whatever, and it's created its own water parameters, basically, how do you introduce a new fish into a system that has concentrated this, that, and the other, like in the closed systems like you do? How come they don't die immediately when they enter this water?
Because of the biological activity of the substrate and the plants.
Is that is there a difference between, let's say, the water at the pet store and the water in your aquarium?
Of course,
Is it so much of a difference that it would kill a fish instantly out of shock?
rarely. It's
And I
possible,
think,
but rarely.
and that's what he could not wrap his head around. Like
Exactly.
the fish will die immediately once it goes in there, and he couldn't. And I really don't understand the science. I just know you guys been doing it, so I'm like, it's
But
possible. I don't know how, but it's
That's
possible.
the issue. He doesn't understand. He talks about the science, but he really doesn't
Yeah,
know the science
yeah,
because he doesn't understand the effect of a biological system, a fully blown biological system. Even this, he says he wants to restrict his system to certain kinds of bacteria and not
yeah,
other
yeah.
kinds.
I
Well,
don't.
the reality is that's a fool's errand. You can't do it. Bacteria can't be controlled that way. You either have all or you have nothing. You've either got a system where all kinds of bacteria are flourishing, controlling each other in the process, and that's really the key. Creating an environment of diversity allows you to have the kind of balance that exists in nature.
So it's the
but
diversity. Yeah,
I think the big cause of the argument was that people that it's that these systems, the natural systems, supposedly you're not supposed to do water changes, but I don't know where they're coming up with that idea.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just because you don't do water changes every week doesn't mean that at some point you're doing a water change in those systems.
that's true.
I mean,
That's
I
right. Yeah,
so that's where I was trying to figure out what he was saying, because they were saying all natural systems you don't do water changes. Well, I keep something that I would consider natural, but I do water changes. I might not do them with the frequency of maybe somebody that's keeping discus, but even then, it all depends on what you're trying to do.
right.
And what I was trying to explain to him too, it's going to be very different. The frequency for the water changes, like he had a tank full of Oscars. Yes, you're probably going to have to do water changes because the bioload of those fish is going to be a lot greater than
Absolutely.
my tank with guppies.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
I could prolong and extend how often I do those water changes. Now, when you have plants and you have these other systems in there, it just helps to prolong the time that it takes you to do those water changes. And I don't think
Right.
they understand that concept. I think they're skipping over that fact, that they're just going straight to the idea it's a swamp tank because you never change out the water. I know very few people that keep aquariums that way. For the most part, They might do a water change once a year, but there's still a water change.
Yeah, yeah. I think what you have to understand about water changes is there's no magic to changing the water. It's not. It's not the key to success. Most people who lose all of their fish, if they're doing a heavy maintenance approach to maintaining their aquarium, they're doing water changes every week. They're feeding a certain way. Da 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 da. They're putting all the chemicals and all this stuff. They will lose more fish following a water change than at any other time in the process. And that's consistently the case. Doing water changes is not it's not a safe thing to do. It's a dangerous thing to do. It has to be done. There are times when it's critical to do it. You do it in small amounts if necessary, and maybe more frequently in small amounts until you get things stabilized. This tank I was just showing, this tank I've got real heavy, I'm sorry, real heavy tannins in. Where is it? Right there. Needs a water change. I'm going to be able to do 10%, probably every day for 3 or 4 days to get it back to normal. It's developed. Yeah, go ahead.
I wish I could see that tank a little bit closer. But what do you have on filtration for that tank?
I have a canister and a sponge filter.
And that's see, that's to people. A lot of people, I guess, you want to know. And I did do a little video for my members only, and I would be disrespectful to my members only if I didn't speak plainly with you. But I think you're a friend and you know how to take this. So a lot of your thumbnails, I think people are just looking at your thumbnails and looking at your title and they figure they got you pegged.
Right.
Never do a water change ever, 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 ever.
Stop doing water changes. Stop.
Yeah. So, right. I mean, me, you, and even Mexicali, I talk to Mexicali all the time about channel strategy and stuff like that. And listen, y'all, thumbnails is a big reason why people's channels grow. It's probably the number one reason why people's channels grow, because it's what gets you to click on that. So you have to sometimes, be a little sensational. I'm not saying do clickbait. I'm not. But sometimes you have to be a little sensational. So a lot of this reputation that you have is somewhat of your making.
Oh, no question.
But at the same time, they should take for it. Yeah, they should take the time to go, hold up, let me see what this dude's about. Yeah, because this guy has a thumbnail that says never do a water change. And I think,
if you actually watch the video, you'd realize that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is not doing it 24 hours a day.
Not
doing it all the time routinely just for the sake of doing it. Do it because it needs to be done.
Yeah.
And it needs to be done every week. I mean, if you're maintaining big fish in a bare tank, you better change that water every week. Yeah. They're going to die because you're polluting the tank. You're fouling that tank as a routine procedure, as the way to keep them.
Yeah, I've always had a question, and I don't know, because it seems to people think that you say this. I don't know if it's true or not, but their argument is that they say that every fish should be kept in the type of systems that you talk about. Now, I know a little bit enough. That's what I hear people kind of say, repeat that. He says it doesn't matter which fish it is, you could throw it in that system, it's going to have success. Now, I know that some fish behavior is not conducive to doing a dirted tank just because of the way they go about things, like Oscars or the big cichlids that like to dig into the ground. I know there's ways about it, and I know you were showing that Severum tank that you had there, But is that really your philosophy, Father Fish? That any fish can be kept, an arowana can be kept in a system like this?
An arowana would be the easiest fish to
Hmm.
keep in it because it doesn't ever disturb anything.
Oh, okay.
I think I talked to Father Fish, and just to add on to Mexicali, this is a great example of what people are saying. Like, you can't put every fish. I happen to think that if the tank is big enough, you can put any fish in a dirty tank. That's my personal belief. If the tank is big enough, you can.
If you can't, then that fish cannot live in nature.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I had a dirty tank. Father Fish helped me with it. It was awesome. I had biches in there. My biches was loving it. The plants was everywhere. No problem. I ended up putting Jack Dempsey's in there. And like you were saying, you have to put some type of hardscape because my Jack Dempsey did kind of wiggle stuff out the way. I had to put a piece of slate. It was looking for something hard. I didn't have anything hard. And I was like, oh, I got to put something hard. But Dan Connor from Consolidated Fish Farms, who's a terrible influence on me because he keeps giving me fish. He gave me a Hopalo catfish.
Oh my!
Now my tank had matured enough that it had little worms growing in the dirt that would pop up and wiggle around. I would never.
Right.
Yeah, it turned into a mud puddle. That Hopalo just dug everything up.
They do. Yeah.
So, but like Mexicali was saying is, your thoughts on any fish. I tell people, I was like, I think Father Fish would say, there's always variables that you have to overcome and make changes on the fly. That's my personal view from talking to you. But people seem to think that you could have a 55-gallon and put an Oscar in there with a dirty tank and never have any issues.
Well, you have to accommodate the fish.
Yeah.
And you can accommodate it within the parameters of what you're trying to do. And 99% of the time it'll work. 1% of the time it just won't work.
I think
big koi would be a good example. It's really hard to keep large koi in a dirted planted tank. I wouldn't even really try it.
But you acknowledge it.
What?
That it's not as easy as just having a dirty tank and putting whatever's in there. It's not that simple.
If you look,
or you make a lake
if
or
you
a pond.
look at the Japanese and what they do
Yeah.
with their 200-pound carp, they put them in mud holes.
Yeah.
They spend most of their year living in mud holes because that's where they feed. They feed on eating dirt. It's a dirt fish. It's a fish that eats mud in its natural condition. And so the ponds that they've got, that they grow them out in and raise them in all summer long, you can't see an inch into the water. They're either green as soup or more commonly, they're just brown as mud. Who would want to keep a fish in an aquarium like that?
The other argument that he was trying to make also, which didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, was that you can't keep river fish in aquariums. Which
that was
right off the bat, then how are we keeping most of the fish that we're keeping? I mean, it's
exactly.
just
there are very few fish that we have that are pond fish and white fish. They're nearly all river, creek, stream, brook fish. And many of them are living in fast flowing water.
Yep.
Not all of them, but many are.
A lot faster than anything we can generate, actually, probably.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely right. I think what we have to realize is that he made a comment that he's in one of his videos. He was very indignant about people throwing, and he was talking about me again, throwing years in his face. Saying, I don't want to hear about people who have been keeping fish for 5,000 years. Well, I'd be real interested in talking with such a person.
Yeah,
because
well, imagine all the knowledge that they might have.
I've been at this 70 years, more, 75 years. I started keeping fish seriously as a teenager, and I'm 84. So I was like 65 to 70 years ago. I've been doing fish every day of my life for 65 to 70 years, and I've learned a lot of stuff, most of which I've forgotten. I mean, until it comes up, and then it's right there. It's amazing to me. That's the only thing I retain in my brain is my experience with fish. But I look at that, and then I meet people like some of the guys who are in the Tampa Club in Florida. Absolute geniuses. Absolute. They are so far ahead of me, I can't see them. I
Yeah.
mean, Bill's a perfect example. I mean,
Bill Shield.
Bill Shields has
Yeah.
raised more fish than any human being in this country and maybe on Earth. And he's done more sophisticated things than probably anybody ever has. He's an absolute genius.
See, Lou.
He's putting together right now the Florida Fish Fair display, which is a magnificent program, a project he's been running for 20 years, where he has kids and other people in the community set up tanks for the Florida State Fair. And they're judged and they have financial awards. It's an amazing project.
See, Lou, that's why I was like, yo, we were ahead of our time 5-6 years ago when we first met. The way I even said this on my members only thing, the way me and Lou first met is I had a live stream saying that, fish clubs and YouTube really need to, get
right.
on board with each other. He actually had me go down there and talk. And to my knowledge, and I'm tooting my own horn a little bit. Me and Lou, I'm tooting our horns a little bit. But to my knowledge, I have never, to that point, I've never seen a club meeting while live streaming at the same time where people can interact and stuff like that. That was the first time I saw that. And I still to this day, I'm not a big fish club guy. It's a little clicky for me, but there is a lot of old school knowledge that you probably won't, out of experience, from experience. Yeah, that I really felt like I wish these clubs would get a little bit more into, with the times and share that knowledge. Because once they're gone, we just have.
That's it.
What? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I got a question for you, Luke.
Sure.
I know you said your experience spans about 7 years, roughly. Now, during that course of the time, has your concept of keeping aquariums evolved, or has it always been?
Oh yeah, very much
Okay.
so. Yeah, absolutely. I'm nowhere near where I was. I can't say 10 years ago because I've been on this natural aquarium kick now for about 25 years. Prior to that, I was doing undergravel filtration. I was doing bare tanks. I was doing gravel. I was doing, all the other stuff everybody's doing. I've done all of that. And I started doing this, frankly, because of Wallstead. And the challenge that her book threw down of being able to actually make it work long term. Because with her system, she couldn't keep it going more than a year. It just ran out of energy. So I took that on as a challenge, and that's really where I've been at for the last 25 years. I built a supplement that guarantees adequate nutrient in the soil for a minimum of 5 years. I've developed the concept of capping with sand, not gravel, in order to be able to prevent water from washing out the nutrients into the water column. I've developed a notion of what the depth of that soil needs to be, what the depth of the sand needs to be in order to make it stable. In other words, I put 25 years into researching this and working with it and refining it to the point where it can work, and it can work effectively for anybody who tries it. I've got brand new people setting up their very first tank, and 3 months later, their tank looks like a master aquarist. It works. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now,
And
you gotta work it though. I mean, you gotta do the right stuff. You can't never do water changes.
and
I
think
I don't know where that information got out that your system is no water change system.
Once it came out of my mouth, is where it
it came out of a thumbnail.
came out of a thumbnail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I have used the YouTube to try to build a business.
Yeah.
And in the process of doing that, I've done things that were deliberately outlandish and deliberately controversial. And that's why I've done them.
As every big YouTuber has.
But I've tried to be really serious about the content.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I haven't done it in the content.
Yeah. Well, every big YouTuber has. Period. There's not a one out there that hasn't, threw a little something out there and maybe was like,
for God's sake.
huh?
Joey.
Yeah.
DIY Joey. The perfect example.
Yeah.
He's got the biggest channel.
Yeah. Well, and it works. I mean, look, at the end of the day, here's the thing. I can have all the BS thumbnails and titles out there. But once someone clicks on it, if you have a BS channel, they're not going to watch. They're not going to click. They're not going to do that. So, all these bigger YouTubers that may do that type of thing, you got to give them some kind of credit because they've actually done something as far as their content goes to keep the person there,
That's exactly right. You got to have something that's worth paying attention and worth digging into. And we've done that. We've done that here. We've done it with the show. We got people who are excited about this thing and committed to it.
Yeah. Well, to each his own. But like at the end of the day, I just think that there's a lot of ways to do stuff. I think before you start using inflammatory language like calling people Jim Jones and stuff, you really should know more. That's another thing that kind of irritated me because of the fact that I know that you're, how open you are to variations of this method. That's ultimately like I said, I got that itis from that big bowl of food, so I'm gonna hop off. And you, Mexicali, go ahead. But I just wanted to, let people know where I was at on that. And I do appreciate you, Lou, and I appreciate all the stuff you've helped me out with. Even though I don't do your tanks to the T, you still are okay with that. And I just wanted people to know that.
You're a good man.
All right, y'all take it easy.
Bye for now.
Do you have somebody else that wants to come up?
They're not right now. I really don't.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll stick around as long as nobody wants to come up.
Thanks.
And as long as you'll have me.
Yeah. I was going to look in the chat here. John Shane has a question. Says,
okay.
Tomorrow, as we've talked, I'll be filling and planning my 30-gallon. It'll be an angel fish tank. What fish to start off with can I add to start? But we'll get along when I add the angels. It's not a bad question. It depends on the angel. If you're starting with little tiny baby angels or, like 1 inch angels, go ahead and put them in first. They'll be fine. If it's something that's, a couple of bucks, $5 maybe, go ahead and put them in. Unless it's something that's really special, a hybrid that you're really excited about breeding. It's a matter of starting out with by taking the least risk you can. If you have accessibility to fish out in a creek, bring them in and put them in. It's not costing you a dime. You may
Now,
find you really like them.
yeah, the only argument that you might get back from that, because I hear it all the time, is that if you bring fish in from the wild, they're going to have parasites in them.
You know,
But
yeah,
I've done it, and I haven't. I must be very lucky. I must be the luckiest guy out there because I did it with some mollies that I got out of the Colorado River and some gambusia, and I haven't had an issue. But again, it could be that I'm just very lucky or fortunate in that aspect.
let me say something about that because it's a really critical issue. There are more parasites, more fish getting sick and dying from parasites in aquariums than in the natural world. And here's why I say that. Here, let me give you a good example of it. Ick is an excellent example, best example possible. In nature, it never happens that a population of fish develop a sufficient infestation of ick that they're dying off from it. Just does not happen unless theoretically they're trapped in a small, tiny little area that they cannot escape from, and it's not getting flushed out. It's sitting there, and there are inadequate biological diversity there to be able to control that. That could happen that way. But in the wild, in nature, in creeks, in ponds, fish never die from ick infestation. They do, however, die in an aquarium from ick infestation. Why is that? Very simply, it's because in nature, there is such a wide diversity of microbiological life that the parasite ick has its own enemies. It has other parasites that are going after its babies before they even come out of the mud. The population is controlled, and so it perpetuates because it's not controlled absolutely, but it does not create the kind of infestation that wipes out whole populations of fish. If it did, there would not be any fish out there. Not in cold water environments. It's a cold water parasite. It's controlled by the biology of the system. So my concern is to create as wide a diversity of biology in that aquarium as possible. And that means bringing stuff in from the wild. Where do you think the fish in your fish came from? They came from mud ponds in Thailand or Florida or Cambodia or Sri Lanka. They came out of a natural environment. That's where they were born. That's where they grew up.
Yeah, I've always equated ick as being like more stress related, and it makes sense they would get more stressed out in an aquarium that they would not be in nature. But I also, and the reason I equate that, it's like us when we're overworked, we're tired, we're stressed out, we're more prone to get a flu than when we are healthier and in good state and all that. So that's
Right.
how I've always associated ick with in the aquariums. Is the reason you're going to get something like that is because something is out of balance, something's causing stress,
Yeah, it's true.
and it's
When a fish stresses, it drops its flying coat, which makes it vulnerable to anything attacking.
Yeah. But one of the reasons why I've kind of really enjoyed this system, the quote unquote natural system. People get all worked up sometimes because you use natural and it's not a natural environment. I get that, but I don't know what else to call it. That it's an ecosystem, I guess, if you want to be a little bit more correct, I guess. But
I made a comment on your channel on the Friday night. If the laws of nature are not operative in your fish tank, what laws are?
yeah, and one of the reasons why I really like this system is that I'm not handcuffed to my fish room. This
Yeah, right.
system allows me to live life. And what I mean by that is if I want to go away on a 2 week vacation, there's no stress in my life. There's
Yeah,
no stress in my life because I can walk away from this fish room and not worry about anything going wrong because I know that
including
they're going to be
having
fine.
including having a friend come in and feed your fish.
Well, that's the worst thing that could happen because they might not know what they're
Yeah,
doing.
you bet. You bet. I had a
So
woman.
that's why I
Yeah,
like it because I don't have to depend on nobody. I can leave, come back, and as a matter of fact, I've always joked about this, but it seems that every time I go away for more than 3 days, I'll come back and my aquariums will look better than when I left.
exactly.
The the water is clear. It's just because there's no disruption. The fish are not swimming around trying to get up to the food, which creates disturbances in the water and stuff like that. So it allows everything to settle down, and it's the clearest crystal. I like making videos when I go out away for 3 days or more because my tanks will look immaculate.
Yeah.
And but
And
that's one of the reasons.
that's the natural condition of an aquatic environment. We're talking about swamps. Swamps are the most pristine environment possible with the most delicate fish living in them imaginable because
Yeah.
they're so stable. Nature nature creates stability as a way of sustaining life.
Yeah, the other one that it kind of made me think a little bit was the comment that was made um, that you could probably have uh, deficient aquariums, oxygen deficiency in your aquariums if you have heavily planted aquariums and you're not running some type of air system through them. I've never really given that that much thought.
Yeah, I
One of the
don't.
things,
You know,
yeah,
I like.
one of the things that, sorry,
I like to run air because I like creating circulation, and that's probably just my personal preference. It may not have any real validity. I mean, ponds typically don't have much in the way of circulation.
yeah. And one of the things that I've done with my fish room is I've always said I use it as a lab. And what do I mean by that? I've tried all the different systems that people talk about because I want to see where the truth is and where some of these stretches are. And to be honest, I don't think I've tried a single filtration system that doesn't work. I think really what this starts becoming is what is the application you want to use
Yeah, exactly.
that system,
Right. Yeah.
and that's the only concern because I have a rack of 10-gallon aquariums that I'm not running anything in them. They're just water in a box. That's it with plants, obviously. All my the plants really came about because I like to see the greenery behind them. That was even before even thinking about how beneficial they were for an aquarium.
Yeah.
What attracted me back into the hobby was seeing these underwater gardens. That's what I call them. It's just
Right.
I saw that and I immediately said that's what I want to do. And I started trying that. Unbeknownst to me, what was the upside of having the planted aquariums? It wasn't until I started learning more about them. I got in the hobby maybe late '80s, early '90s for a short period of time, and then I took off for the military, school, marriage, and all that stuff, and I didn't get back into the hobby maybe about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Is when I come back, and when I come back, the hobby's totally different. When I left, the norm was under gravel filters with plastic plants
Yeah.
and color gravels. That was the thing that was predominantly back then. So I didn't know anything about natural plants. They might have been available, but they weren't as popular. I come back, and this is a whole new different experience for me. There's canister filters, which I don't ever remember seeing back in the day. I
Right.
remember seeing sponge filters, but they were more of the box filters, not the sponge filters.
Exactly. That's right.
And and that was pretty much it. I remember it used to be when the heaters you couldn't submerge them because you'd shock yourself. You had to have them,
I know. That's
the
right.
part of it
Yeah,
sticking out of the aquarium.
right.
So I come back and it's a whole different ball game. So it took me a while to start learning. What got me into dirty tanks, it was dusted fish tanks. That was the first person that I saw that. Then that led me to you, and then from you, I've seen Lucas Brett's, and there's now Patty's
Yeah.
Aquatics, and there's a whole bunch of other channels that are kind of doing the same thing. And I've kind of
It's
taken,
an explosion. It's so
yeah,
terrifying to see it. Yeah.
I've taken the philosophy from you guys and kind of adopted it to what I'm doing in my fish room, and so far it's worked. I haven't had any issues. My biggest problem is the summer temperatures for me because I live out in Arizona and my fish room's in the garage.
Huh.
And so in the summer, my aquariums is not uncommon to range between 85 and about 90 to 92 degrees. And at that point, I do need to run. At that
Yeah.
point, I do need to run oxygen
Yeah.
um,
Exactly. Right.
because I've had fish where they die off because of lack of water movement and
Yeah.
having the gas exchange. But that's the only time. I mean, all of these behind me are all running some type of air filtration, but the ones that are all on the other side of the room are all just biological filtration. That's all I have in them. And
Right.
I can't say that one's better than the other because they all work. They all work.
Yeah. It's a matter of caring about what you're doing and really focusing on it, being tuned into it, and
Yeah.
being aware of what the fish are doing and what the plants are doing. If your focus is on the animals, the plants and the animals, rather than on the numbers on a meter,
Yeah.
then you're going to be
Well,
way ahead of the game.
I think there is something to the fact that the more you become familiar with your fish room, the more just through the power of observation, you can tell when something's off. And a
Yep.
lot of it's funny because people ask me, when do you do water tests? I don't. At this point, I'm at the point where unless I have some sort of outbreak, but I don't have it. I need to knock on wood, but I don't have a lot of outbreaks of anything. Egg
Yep.
has not been a problem for me. I haven't had any parasites or diseases really that has been a problem. But then again, my fish room is probably not like most fish rooms on YouTube because I'm not bringing in fish on a regular basis. The fish that I have are predominantly the same fish that I started with,
Yeah.
except they've
Yeah.
just reproduced and I have more of them. That's pretty
Right.
much what my fish room is. And so those factors are not really an issue for me.
That makes
And
a world of difference. That's right. Which is
and
why
so
the betta or the discus guys, or the guppy guys. They're the best ones. The guppy guys will maintain a strain of fish for 15, 20 years with nothing coming in from the outside.
yeah.
And they're making magic. I mean, they're turning these fish into something that looks totally different from what it did, 5 years before.
Yeah.
That's an amazing, amazing part of the hobby.
Well, sir, I've taken up about an hour and a half of your time.
Thank you. I'm so happy you came up. I really am.
No,
Thank you.
no, I'm happy I did. Well, I'll get with you later on. Now, Funk is giving me your phone number. I'll reach out to you because I'd like to have you come onto my channel and have a conversation
I'd love
one
to
of these
do
days.
it. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I guess
All
I
right.
need.
So,
You've been talking about me without me. God bless you.
well, sir, Thank you so much, and I'll drop down to the chat.
You bet. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. We have Jacob Wade and NC. Now there's a pair. Why don't we do this? Why don't we get them both up here? And
why don't we do this?
And I'll be in between them. How's that? Mercy. Hey, NC, that's looking pretty good.
A lot has happened. I just set up this tank today.
Okay, it looks great.
Yeah, I still got to get the sand for the bottom tank, though. Still figuring that out. But I'll let Jacob go first because I'll be yapping for a while.
Well, Jacob will too, so I'll jump back and forth between you. What's up, Jacob?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
We're doing good. How are
I'm
you?
doing great.
Good. Oh, you might be able to see him. He was right there a little bit. They come out a little. They come out a lot though. My clown loaches. They're like.
Okay, they are nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a pair of them. They come out a lot during the day. They actually really sift a lot through everything, and you can actually hear them crunching on things. It actually honestly
funny.
sounds like a mouse in my wall.
I don't have the ears for that. I don't think. Yeah, pretty fine-tuned ears. If you can hear your fish.
She's big.
That's funny. What are we looking at, NC? What's that?
My hill stream tank. So, I set it up this hill stream tank with let me think, 5 hill stream loaches.
Oh.
Rock.
Oh, look at how cool.
I want to get some more from you because I need more.
Well, I'm going to get them listed one of these days. I need to get all kind of things listed. I'm a little concerned right now because we're coming into the worst possible season for shipping fish. January, February are a death knell for shipping a lot of fish, particularly if they have to go halfway across the country or worse.
Yeah, and talking about the Mexicali talking about everything. I really, when I found you, I was really shocked of what happened. Like, your no water change thing, but that's not what it is. It's just do water changes when you actually need to do water changes.
That's it. That's exactly right.
It's just not that hard. How simple could it be?
Right. You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a quote from you. How simple could it be?
Right.
Well, I'm gonna hand it over back to Jacob for a bit.
All right. Hey, Jacob. What are we looking at here?
Well, I was trying to follow that little cichlid guy. So he should that little man-made cichlid. He should get about the size of a baseball. You say?
What is it?
A snow white parrot cichlid.
Oh, the parrot. Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, hardball. Yeah. Yep. They can get pretty chunky.
The minute I put him in, why I bought him at the store, because I really never see fish at the store like eating on other fish bodies, because usually they don't do that because it doesn't allow that, and when it does, it doesn't allow the fish to really eat it because it doesn't benefit, it causes waste basically. So that's why I got them, and then when I got them, they're still, they don't really, but see, it's still juvenile. You can't really, from what I'm understanding, you can't really judge that because it's juvenile. But I heard if it's more on the cichlid side, it should be like aggressive. But if it's more on the parrot side, it'll probably still be very aggressive, but it'll be more on like a docile, like more peaceful. Because both of them are very aggressive, I heard. The parrots, the blood parrots, and like convict cichlids.
Right.
I've actually seen some behavior over the past few days in this tank, where, as you can see, the female here is trying to enter the cave, and there's a male in there.
Is the male in there or not?
Yes, the male's in there. That's why she's trying to
Okay.
fight herself into the cave.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. Maybe in a couple days we can see something going.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I am
And then,
so impressed with your ability to do that. I think that's really exciting.
thank you.
Very impressive.
And today I went to Petco and I found this poor little girl at Petco. So I decided to take her in.
Oh, cool.
It's a beta.
Better, yeah.
And I also got this girl.
She's a long, skinny one, isn't she?
Yeah, this tank's doing great. This tank's doing awesome with the half beaks in there. Let me see
They
if I can.
absolutely are.
I just set this one up today. Oh, the female finally gave up. She gave up.
Oh, she's out now.
Yep, she gave up. I don't know.
Maybe she wasn't quite ready.
Yeah. And then, here's a hill stream loach.
Yeah. They're such neat little fish.
Yeah, they are. And then this tank with all the plants in them, got a dragon, because why not?
There
so I'm
he
gonna put
is.
the beta in here.
Look, see,
Okay.
he's a nice clown.
Loach out. Yeah.
What is that, Jacob?
That's really
His
clown
loach.
loach. See,
Clown loach.
he's got body like a human, so he is really open and very vulnerable to anything.
Right. Oh, this is interesting. Fish Capade says, I'm not sure what I'm doing counts as dirty. It's eco-complete base, then a thick layer of stratum, then sand cap, and the other two are just stratum-based sand cap. Yeah, I would call that a dirted tank. In principle, I would call it a dirted tank because you're creating an environment that allows for nutrients to precipitate into it and break down such as to be able to supply nutrients to growing plants. The sand cap is what prevents that from washing out, from being depleted, because it actually prevents the water from washing out the nutrients in the dirt. Now, if it were gravel, that water could flow through the gravel and it would wash it out. But with sand, it can't do that. It slows down too much because of the size of the granules of sand to be able to create that kind of flow. I mean, you could force it, but in the process of doing it, you'd be washing the sand out. So it really is an effective way to maintain the integrity of the dirt and to keep it out of the water column. So yeah, I would call that a dirted aquarium.
This one actually I set up today is actually Aquasoil I got from this guy because I was done with it.
Okay, you're right.
So I just put the Aquasoil on.
Aquasoil is fine so long as you cap it. The problem with Aquasoil is if you don't cap it, it becomes depleted very quickly.
And it'll turn into algae blooms, as you said.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
And these are dirted. Some of these are Aquasoil. I don't know. I'm just using whatever I have remaining.
That's good.
Look at this pretty.
This is
So
good.
NC, would I be able to use hill stream loaches?
In your tank?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Like I've kept these guys. I've actually kept another group of them like 2 years back, I don't remember. But I've actually kept a group of them way back. Was one of my first ever algae eaters before the pleco, and they did fine. They did fine in like a fully planted tank, everything. They do fine.
They look really cool.
Yeah,
They look like honestly like a.
They're neat, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they
I'm
look
gonna
like a
attempt to breed these
stingray.
guys.
Now it's a fish that in the wild lives in very fast flowing water.
Coincidentally, they come from Malaysia and Thailand.
Well, from rivers and creeks,
Yes.
rivers and streams. Yeah. All right, guys, we got somebody new up. I'm gonna let you go.
Yep, of course. I made a few videos on these guys if you guys want to check that
Oh,
out.
fabulous! Yeah. Check out NC's channel. Jacob, thanks for coming up. Nice to see you.
See you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Bye, NC.
Bye.
And 3G is with us.
Hopefully my mic is working.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Wonderful,
I
wonderful.
bet there's no more of this.
Good deal. I was wanting to see if you want to see a live feeding.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I got some scuds to throw in here for the discus.
Oh, nice.
Here they go.
Coming out, coming out.
Takes them a second to get going, but when they get after them,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
that's a 6+ year old dirted substrate, discus in there, and it gets a water change about 4 times a year.
Nice.
To what you and Funk and Mexicali was talking to.
Right, right. And they're gorgeous. How old are those discus?
I don't know. I've had them for about a year and a half, I guess.
Okay,
They're getting about 4 to 5.
okay.
Got some Congo tetra in there,
Love Congos.
albino Congos. Yeah,
Albino, oh yeah. There's a new one. I got one and
the
I think I
blue.
lost it. Yeah, the blue, yeah. God, it was so expensive, it was shocking.
I hadn't priced them yet, but I thought about getting some. I like the just the
You
standard
could
green
pay
one.
up to $100 for one.
Oh
Retail.
goodness! Wow.
Wholesale was $25. And it's a juvenile. And it disappeared.
Oh man, ain't that the way it goes?
Really.
Anyhow, they love them some scuds.
I love it. I love it. Nice, healthy fish.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all want to look around at something else or what?
Sure. Sure.
Let's see. We'll go back here and look at the 125. See what's going on with it. There we go. I don't know if I lost my signal or not.
That we're good. That's a pretty nice tank.
Yeah, 6 foot. I love it.
I just bought a 6 foot. I haven't decided what to do with it yet, but I got it.
They were just giving their scuds, and they're thinking I'm gonna give them some more, but they out of luck this time.
Now you got to scud that.
I do.
Need to get you to teach Brenda how to do a scud vat.
Yeah, it's real easy. You just neglect it.
Ignore it.
I've got one of those, Rubbermaid totes, like, I don't know, probably an 8 gallon, 10
Got a
gallon.
lot of them.
And I don't do water changes. It's not aerated. It has no light on it. I only put plant trimmings in it. I don't feed it. And it just produces thousands and thousands of them. Just all my tanks have them in them, but these angelfish, they keep them knocked down to where I never see them.
Right.
And then, once a week or so, I'll get a cup full of them and replenish the ones that are in here.
Right.
And give them some
What
easy
kind of
ones.
snails are there? Oh, they're empty and something.
Yeah, Malaysian trumpet snails.
Yeah, I love them. That's one of my
You
favorites.
got to, because they ain't going away.
That's right.
Angel time. I'm like Mexicali. I'm here for the fish and the plants and stuff. I love the plants, but I'm
Yeah,
here
amen to that. That's right.
I'm here for the fish.
Yeah. Jupiter One says, I have a guppies, swords, and diamond tetras in tubs with straight dirt and plants, no cap. Granted, my dirt here in Florida is very high sand content. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You can do that in a vat. You'd be hard pressed to do it in an aquarium because it's gonna have a lot of detritus in it. It's gonna have a lot of dirt floating around, but it works really well in vats. Pretty tank.
Thank you, sir.
Gorgeous fish. I love them.
This one's been
Those
set up
koi are amazing.
your style for about 5 years. Again, this one gets, maybe 4 water changes a year.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
sealed pretty tight.
Nice. That's 6 foot. That's a big tank. That's like a 125.
Yes, sir. 125. I love it.
Yeah, I got a deal on that tank from Petco, but the guy who delivered it broke the lids.
Oh no.
Yes.
I got a deal on mine. I had a friend that worked at a storage unit facility.
Oh wow.
And they're like, hey, somebody left an aquarium in one of these units. Do you want it? And I'm like, yeah, I'll come and get it.
Oh,
And I was thinking it was going to be a 10-gallon or something like that. So they were
oh my
125.
God. With a stand?
Stand, lights, glass tops, everything.
Oh my word. That's wonderful.
Had about I don't know, about 6 buckets of 5-gallon buckets of gravel in it.
Holy cow. Nice fish.
Yeah, I love my little goldfishes. This little guy right here, this is Spanky. And that's my little buddy right there.
Is that Noranda? That's a Noranda. What is that?
Shabunkin.
Shabunkin, right.
A Randa and a Ranchu.
And a fantail. Yeah, that's a fan. Yeah, I guess. A Ranchu.
This is a 38 bow. All right. Well, I'll quit taking up time. Looks like it's about time to go.
Thank you. Nice to see you, 3J.
Yeah, I want to come up and see if my mic was working because I've been on a couple of other live streams and had no problem.
Well, so happy you got that straight.
Me too. Maybe I'll be up more often.
Wonderful. Bye for now.
All right. Thanks.
What are we doing? We're at quarter of. We got a little bit of time left. Let's see who's saying what here. John Shane says they call a swamp for a reason. They're really, as far as I know, anybody at Water River Lake Pond has water coming in and going out. Okay. Well, swamps have water going in and coming out too. It's just doing it slowly. It is slow moving water going in and coming out. Sailor Red looks like we'll live through another ice storm. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't think it's started yet. Has it started, Brenda? I don't think it has. Mama Bear, my electric blue Icarus only dig when my female's getting ready for babies. That's right. That's when they need to nest. If you have adequate plants or hardscape, they'll lay the eggs right on those, and they won't dig much at all. She's checking the door. What's happening?
Nothing yet. It's not
Nothing.
start till after midnight.
Glad to hear it.
Like about 1 a.m.
Oh, really? Huh. So we're going to wake up to
We're gonna wake up to snow.
snow. All
I'll
right.
probably have to shovel out. Right?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm back a little further than you are. We'll see. We'll see how it is.
I'm on one of those emergency
Oh, that's right.
exit roads. So that's
You're on a main access. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little far from it. We'll see. I may be calling you in the morning. I may just sleep in. Oh, let's see what else is going on here. Keep yourself warm and hope you keep your power on. God knows that's true, David. That's my biggest fear, is the power going out. That would be deadly. Big Russ is here. Hey,
Hello.
Big Russ.
Hi, how you doing?
Nice. How are you?
I'm
Nice.
good.
What
So
you
I've
got
got
here? Talk about this.
so this is my first tank doing father fish method.
Oh,
It's
good
a
for you.
yeah, it's a 5 gallon, very small nano tank.
Okay, cool.
I've got white cloud minnows in there, about I think 5 of them.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you can tell from the video, but the water's a little bit orange, I think from the tannins and the driftwood
From the
probably.
driftwood. Yeah, I'm sure. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, this is what I got so far.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Looks like home.
Yeah, is that too many plants?
No, you can't have too many plants.
Okay.
I mean, that's literally true. You cannot have too many plants. When it reaches a point where the plants have maxed out, they just stop continuing to grow. They
Okay.
slow way down.
Yeah, I think these might be juveniles. They're only about an inch long. I think they get up to like 1.6 or something.
They'll get a little bigger, yeah. Right.
Yeah. So they might be a little bit too big for this tank.
No, I don't think so. I think what will happen is because you've got so much cover in there, they're going to be spawning and you'll begin to see baby fish.
Okay, and that won't be too much
No.
bio in the tank?
You could probably have 50 fish that size in there
Wow.
if it happened naturally.
Right.
And it could. It easily could.
Okay.
It's a great tank to just kind of leave it alone and let it see what it's going to do.
Yeah. As you see, they're pretty active. I just added 2 more today. I only had 3 in there before.
That's a good starting number. You could add more if you wanted, but you don't really need to.
Yeah. There's the 2 I added today, I think are a little tiny bit bigger than the other ones in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And one of them's kind of asserting dominance in there. They've calmed down a little bit now and they're kind of shoaling, looks like, but
Yeah, they are.
yeah,
No,
earlier
they look
one of them
great.
was chasing and the
They're
others were
very happy to be together.
Yeah.
It's a nice group.
Yeah. So yeah, I've got hornswort in there. There's I think 4 stems of those.
Right.
I've got I think this is it's either Amazon sword or a Nubius. I think I have both in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's a sword. That's a Nubius.
Okay.
The other
And
one's-
the Java fern back there. I had it
Right.
planted before, but I heard that should just kind of be in the water.
Yeah, exactly. You want to let it attach to
Yeah, I
something.
pulled it out a little bit, so.
Okay, cool.
And I've got some Java moss just kind of hanging out on the
Nice.
driftwood.
No, that's good. That's perfect.
Yeah. So I have this sponge filter here.
Okay.
When I first put it in, I only had this hang on back filter that the
Yeah.
tank came with,
Right.
and they were gasping for air after about 2 hours. So I rushed to the pet store and got uh,
A
sponge
sponge.
filter to
That's
add.
good.
So
That's perfect. Yep.
I also have a terrarium right next to it
Oh,
with a
nice.
little. There's a jumping spider in there somewhere. He likes to hang out up
Cool.
there.
They're interesting spiders, I think.
Yeah. And then I'm actually started to work on a second tank. Let me unplug my power here. And I've got a stand just out of cinder blocks and a piece of wood for
Oh,
the
that's
second
cool.
tank.
Huh. I never saw that before. That's a really good idea. Heavy
Yeah,
as a
and
stone, but a good idea.
it's really sturdy. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not.
I'll bet it is.
Yeah, it's just as sturdy as that table, I think.
Oh, more so.
Yeah. So
It's sturdy enough that nothing is gonna move it.
right, and it's a 11-gallon bookshelf style, so it's like
Okay. Yeah.
32 inches long and then like 8 inches wide.
Cool.
So it should fit right on that piece of wood just
Yeah,
fine.
that'd be a great tank. That'll look really nice.
Yeah. Sorry, my apartment's messy. But yeah, that's all I got for today. I
Well, look
threw
at
a
Russ. Thank
oak
you.
leaf in there,
That's
and
great.
there's
Yeah, keep coming back.
okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Russ. You bet. Bye
All
for now.
right, bye.
Nice. Nice. Empire of Dirt is here. Black Mountain Rocker needs a rinse, I do believe. Let me see if I can get over here. G. Bianese, Great Nano. It is, isn't it? Really nice. Flying Mouse Aquatics. Yeah, keep the snow somewhere. I guess we're going to get it in spite of ourselves. It's like a train. It's coming across the country like a train. It's this narrow band that's like choo, 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 choo. Kimco, nice to see you, Kimco. Let's see, I want to make sure everybody's got wrenches here. I think we're good. Cowgirl at Heart is here. Flying Mouse, Meep. Let's see, let's get down to the bottom. John Shane, is it possible to join the stream? Yeah, absolutely, John. Click on the link at the top of the chat, and that'll bring you right up. We got a few minutes left. Be happy to have you. How tall will a Java fern grow? And how long do the leaves last? When the leaves start to die, they grow babies around the edge of the leaf. Fascinating. They can get 6 to 8 inches. They won't really get taller. They'll just get more of them. They can kind of grow out into a forest, almost like a bunch of them. And when they grow, some grow taller because their stems go up. So it's a plant that, if it really takes hold, can be very substantial in your tank. Maybe a weird question, but what will happen to the channel and the store when Father Fish will be in heaven? Is it a family store? Yes, it is. And the channel has got a lot of people involved with it. So the channel will continue as well. I'm working very hard to make sure that happens. That's kind of my primary concern is to make sure that we've got structure and people in place who are going to want to keep things going because we got a cool thing happening here. We need to make it go on and on and on. Let's see. Gordon is here. Hi, Gordon.
What's
There.
going on, Father Fish? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good. I just want to chime in. I ended up catching the live the other night and the dirted tanks and all that stuff. And I will say that my old man, God rest his soul, he used to watch you. I was a big fan of you.
Right?
So that's how I found your channel back in the day. However, one question that I don't really know, and I don't think that anybody ever talked about with me before, is where did you get your wealth of knowledge in dirted tanks? Did you just stumble upon it, or did you read it in books, or where did you find that information when you started?
Literally by doing it.
And like where did you get the, I guess you could say, like, so you went and you did it, right? But at the end
then
of the
I
day,
pulled in, but my research was in agronomics, was in agriculture, because there was a big movement when I started this in natural agriculture, and so I leaned heavily on that, and then did all the research I could of people working in trying to understand the substrate in rivers, creeks, and so forth. So I just did a lot of research and tried to. That's what the book is.
Gotcha.
The book is a compendium of research.
Yeah, no, I've never read it, but I just always wanted to know that question. Like,
yeah, good question.
Yeah, I'm not a dirty tank guy. I'm not gonna say I am. I have no fascination in it whatsoever. But I like your methods. Lucas Bretz is a good friend of mine.
Okay,
yeah.
great.
So
Yeah.
Lucas talks to me all about his methods of fish keeping, which is just mind blowing to me, right? And then, but I love it at the same time.
Yeah.
But we talk about the wealth of knowledge that you've provided to the community over the years from, I guess, having a store. I did remember hearing that you had a store at some point.
Yeah, I did in Florida, and now I've got a new one.
Gotcha.
Up here in Maryland. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're in Maryland. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you still go to the store, and like, are you still
I'm
there?
here every day, 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Can't stay away.
So you can't retire.
I got no life other than what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's it. That's kind of like a lot of us,
Yeah.
But I just want to pay homage to all the
That's very kind of you.
the big dogs that actually come in here.
Love that arowana.
Thank you.
You got to show us that fish. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
Yeah,
He
he's
is
right there.
stunning.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I will say I have to do water changes.
Yeah. Well, I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just paying homage to the OGs and the true hobbyists. And someone was on the live earlier talking about how there's a lot of misinformation or paying attention to the some of the bigger channels that provide the wrong information and something like that. And well, there's a difference between a couple of them. You can be a content creator and you could be a content creator and a hobbyist.
Yeah.
And I'd like to consider yourself as a content creator and hobbyist, of course.
Thank you.
You're on live, you're on YouTube, you're providing wealth of knowledge, you've written books, you've been around, the drill. And there are other ones out there, like where people just go into swamps and creeks and plant fish in there and catch them for content, right? And whatever suits your fancy, you do what you have to do. But then there's other hobbyists out there, like the King of DIYs that provide, or the KG Tropicals, or the Lucas Bretzes, or the Father Fishes that actually provide the right information to the right people and get it out to the audience the right way. with their own methods that they know work based off of research, education, whatever the case may be, trial and error.
Sure.
Because back in the day, it's funny, all we had, like, and I remember that I'm only 36 years old, but I remember going back in the day and reading the old aquarium magazines.
Yeah.
And going to the stores and getting those old aquarium magazines and
that was the source of knowledge. That's right.
It was. And we never had a club. I'm from a little town in Canada here. We never had a club nearby us at that time, so I never joined a fish club. Now I'm an executive on my fish club, but
nice.
But we never had a fish club around or anything like that. So it was literally books and magazines. That's all we had for knowledge. Yep. And George Jorge talked about going to under gravel filters and plastic plants and this and that and the next thing, and that really what was much of the life. And I'm glad for channels like the larger channels out there like yourselves, the King of DIYs, that actually go out and provide the right information to the right people at the right time with a wealth of experience to back it up, right? Because when somebody is challenging your method on dirted tanks, you can actually stand up to that person and say, well, no, here is what I found. Here are the facts, right? Yeah. And that's it, right? Whereas, and if you're gonna, and my whole thought process is if you're gonna make statements to anybody, it doesn't matter what it is, and if you're gonna be educating, be able to know what you're talking about. And go on for hours and talk about it for hours on end. It's extremely imperative because your audience or your fan base or your followers or your subscribers, they need to know that you know what you're doing, right? Especially if somebody just comes and checks on your channel tomorrow and they go through your wealth of videos in your catalog, right? And they see everything that you've done, right, over the years, and they can watch back and they can play back videos. They can watch lives of you being on the spot and maybe being challenged on dirted tanks and their methods and all that stuff. It's, you have that wealth of knowledge to back that up. So I'm just saying, I think Hagen Hill said it earlier, we got to pay homage to the big dogs and the people that actually provide the right information, that are hobbyists first before content creators.
Right. Yeah.
So I just want to pop on Father Fish and say that to you. And, I hope you had a great Christmas and a great New Year. And I'll be back in the chat. I just wanted to say hello and
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. I want to see your fish sometime.
You will. Absolutely.
Come back. Okay.
All righty. Thanks.
John Shane.
Mr. Father Fish, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I figured I had a few minutes. I would jump on and show you my 75.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty tank.
Thank you. Yeah, it's all planted with your plants that I got like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
The only question I had is this one up front, right here next to the ship there. The tops of them seem to be going, even over here a little bit, they seem to be going, I thought they were going a little reddish brown, but I thought it was the light intensity. Are they finicky plants?
No, they're really not. They're okay. They look good. They look fine.
Do they? Okay.
They do. I don't think there's a problem. I don't see any browning out or wilting. They
no.
Look like, they're just getting started.
Okay.
I think they look good.
Yeah, this one over here turned nice and red on me when I planted it in like a few days ago.
Yep, that's a good sign. Means it's happy.
What is it? The other thing, I'm a part of the Discord too, and I've asked a few people. Some of the plants, I don't know if I can zoom in on it. I don't know how to yet, but they seem like on the tips there, they seem to get like I forgot what kind of algae they called it, but it was like all over my lava rock and that.
Yeah.
How do you treat that? Because I'm trying not to do it
You need to
with
get
any,
something that will eat it.
like,
Lacostomus or autosinkless. Autosinkless are really good. They do a really good job. They're inexpensive. They're small. They would do well in that tank. OTOCINCIUS. They're pretty easy to find.
okay.
I should be able to get some listed in my store pretty quick here. We're trying to
Oh,
get
nice.
better organized. I like it. Nice tank, John.
Thank you.
We're
Yeah,
running over. I gotta go.
okay. I'm gonna jump on next week after I get my 30-gallon and planted and everything for you.
Oh, that'd be terrific. Look forward to seeing
Thanks.
you. Thanks,
Sounds
John.
good.
All righty, boys and girls, we're down to it. We're way over it. We just ran it into the ground here. I'm not going to even try to get into the chat because we're way over time. You guys have been thoroughly enjoying yourselves. I don't know if I can get to the bottom. It doesn't want to go to the bottom. There's so much commentary in here. Lord, look, it just goes on forever. Black Mountain Rocker. I finally got to the bottom. And you don't have a wrench. I don't know quite why that happened. Because I thought oh, there it is, sure enough. I got you. I got you. Okay, now, those of you who got wrenches, if you want to keep them, you have to be subscribed to my YouTube channel. Otherwise, it's going to go away. So that's Big Russ. Oh, great. Okay. Very good. All right. What are we going to do here? We're going to play our theme song. It's right here. Let me get into it. Turn it on.
I love my little fishes as they swim about their home. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home. When the sunlight shines upon them and their colors begin to glow, I am drawn into a world where my heart longs to go. I imagine scenes of beauty and feel the warmth of love. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home. I have traveled the world over, but never found a peace that comes from watching my fishes as they swim about their home. My heart is happy and I am content to sit and watch them swim. I will not be alone while these fishies are in my home. When the sunlight shines upon them and their colors begin to glow, I am drawn into a world where my heart longs to go. I imagine scenes of beauty and feel the warmth of love. I love my little fishes as they swim about their home.
Well, good night, all. Love you all. Delighted to be with you. See you Wednesday. Praying for Dina. It's all Thursday. God bless you all. Love you all.